Alright, welcome back to the Two Backs Four podcast, everyone. It's the second one we've done. It's meant to be a weekly thing, but had last week off. Yeah, but we have made it past the episode.
We were away, weren't we? So excuse any coughing and Adam missing half a tough.
Yeah, I'll try and not keep you off shut. That defeats the point of me being on the podcast.
A lively week in the sun, haven't we, lads?
Yeah. We've got the Napa cough.
Nice week off after our first episode.
Yeah, tough first episode.
It's tough.
But to kick things off this week, we're going straight into Aki. This should be easy for you, mate. What's your outrageous shout for the season?
Right, you ready for this? So my outrageous shout again. It's just a prediction. It's nothing big. You never know. But obviously Haaland just signed for Man City. We know what sort of player he is. But my prediction is he will get injured big, and he will not break over 15 goals this season. That's my prediction. I think he'll have his chance. He'll get his goals, but I think something will happen this season. I don't think he'll hit the ground running completely, and I do think he'll get an injury this season. We'll put him out for a few months, and I don't think he'll have the season.
Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a direct question.
It's my shout.
If he didn't get injured, do you reckon he's still hitting? How many goals do you reckon he's hitting if he doesn't get injured?
The thing is, I think it's very difficult when the transition from other leagues to Premier League. Premier League is so much different. It's such faster, more intense. Obviously, he's a world-class player. Do I think he can reach? I don't know. It depends. What's the benchmark?
How many do you think Nunez is going to score?
Again, no, I don't know. I'm not saying he's going to score loads either. I wouldn't even compare the two.
Do you think Nunez is going to outscore Haaland first season then?
No, I don't think he'll outscore Haaland.
No. Anyway, but that's your shout. Haaland, you're saying
back onto it.
No more than 15 goals for.
Who does score? Who finishes top?
Who's your golden boot scorer? Yeah.
Salah again.
Overall in the Prem, or just for Liverpool?
In the Prem.
Okay. Yeah.
Salah or Kane.
Comment sections out.
Again,
That's
not even me being biased. That's just true.
I think
he's done it every year.
I think it's Kane this year as well.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, so Harry.
I think Newcastle. I don't think it's outrageous to say Newcastle get 7th because I think they're going to make St James's Park such a fortress, which is what they should have done years ago. It's the furthest away ground for most teams. Teams got to travel miles to get there. They got to travel miles to get to other places. They've got to benefit from their home games. But outrageous shout, I think Palace to not do as well as people think.
Yeah, I really agree with that.
I think Palace could tank.
I disagree with the Newcastle shout, and I
think Palace will tank, not because Vieira's shit or like whatever, or they got bad players. I think they got a really good squad, but I just worry about Palace not having enough backbone, not having enough toughness to
no Gallagher as well.
Well, exactly.
You're saying they could get relegated?
I just think I don't think they'll get relegated.
But I think people are looking at Palace to kick on this year.
Those predictions I've seen, people have got Palace in the top half, and I'm really
I wouldn't.
I'm really not sure that's the case.
I just think they got such a silky team. This team, lots of young skillers, lots of players who're going to want to attack the ball. Are they going to miss the fact that they're losing over the years? They're losing their MacArthurs and their Scott Dans and their Kellys and their Wards, these kind of shithouse players.
Yeah.
Are they going to replace them promptly? I don't know.
I think they did a lot better this season than I thought they would, to be honest. Yeah. Or last season, sorry. I thought they'd do
I don't know, they sort of seem to win every week, but they came like 14th.
Yeah, but last season there was like a weird group of teams between like Villa in 14th and like it's like Wolves in 10th.
Yeah.
Where they're all there was only a few points in it. And I think out of those teams, I think Palace have got the worst squad, and I think they fill me with like the least amount of confidence as any of those other teams.
It's also now in the second season, everyone's had 2 games each to watch Vieira's Palace. Vieira's Palace was so different to Hodgson's Palace that I think that first time you played them, was it Arsenal or City were the first big boys to get caught out? I can't remember now.
City, I think.
But that first time they caught a big 6 side out I personally think was because people hadn't set up for this new Palace, but now we've seen it, and a massive chunk of it in Conor Gallagher. Unless he goes back in the net, but I can't see that happening.
Mate, last season was so risky for Palace, though. Getting rid of their manager, who knew they were going to. You knew Hodgson was going to get them mid-table.
Well, fair play to them.
They shipped out a lot of the old boys. They brought in a lot of youth.
Vieira was a risk, really.
Vieira, young manager,
not much on the record.
They risked so much. Fair play to Steve Parish, because he could have easily kept Hodgson, kept bringing in well-known 28 to 32-year-old players and carried on maintaining their Premier League status, but he's really gone for it, and that's what I worry about Palace. They got through that season. Do they now get a bit, do they take their foot off the gas and they're happy they've made it through, or do they proper kick on? And
even if they kick on, I think loads of other teams are planning on kicking on. and there's nothing that sets them apart and makes them better than those.
And
other
that is
teams.
why there is one team this season. I don't know who it'll be. There's one team who's going to be in the doghouse because you're right. Brighton, Villa, Palace, Newcastle. They're all looking. They've spent big.
Oh, we haven't spent, but we're in that.
I know what you're saying. Yeah, I know what you're saying. They're in that group of players.
We haven't spent
that team. Those teams from 8th down to 14th. A lot of money's being thrown around. A lot of different styles of player trying to be enhanced. What's going to happen next? You'd like to feel. Well, you'd know one of those teams is not going to. It's not all going to get a plan for them. So that's my big shout. Palace to tank a little
that's
bit.
not bad. So for mine, I don't know what you title it, but arguably 2 parts to it. And before you jump in, let me finish.
Okay.
I don't think Liverpool are going to be the side we've seen this season. So much so that there's not going to be a title race in this Premier League season. City are going to romp it, and Spurs are going to come second. Liverpool below them. And the reason I'm saying this, I'll explain myself and then I'll let you shoot me down. But I think Liverpool are going through a transitional phase now with an ageing squad looking to bring through younger lads. You're looking at Elliott and Carvalho, Nunez, all young. Even Konate. I know Konate's proved himself a bit, but I think now Klopp has realised he's got to change his system, he's got to change his players. You're going to see some of these older heads move on like Mane's done. And now I think it's going to take 2 or 3 seasons for Liverpool then to reach the heights of what you were. And I think Conte will do better with what's at his disposal than what Klopp will do this year with what's his disposal.
I don't have a problem with that.
To be fair, I'm not gonna lie, I don't really have that. I'm not sure if Spurs. I'm really not sure about Spurs finishing that high. To be honest, I know that they've made some good signings.
It's not even in the side. I don't even think the signings are that good. It's Conte, Kane, and Son.
But I don't know. I still feel like they're just gonna be challenging top 4. I understand, to be fair, the whole Liverpool and City scenario. This is the first season. I never give up on a season. Obviously, I always say you never know. I still think you've got a chance.
I still think you'll be a good side, but not.
But the way City, their signings are made, bringing in Phillips and Haaland, it does make me kind of think if they won the league last year, and I'm just thinking, Christ, they brought on these 2 players as well. Really, we've lost Mane, else we've got Nunez in. He does look good, but I'm just like, are we really going to be challenging?
I just think your business is rebuild business, and I also think in 3 years' time it'll be fantastic when you've got players like Elliott and Carvalho heading into their best years with you. That'll be at the top of their value. There's rumours of Bellingham next season.
I still think it'll be City Liverpool. I think City maybe will have the edge personally.
I think Spurs is the brave bit of that shout.
Yeah, no,
I don't see what's so brave about saying Spurs in a second. They've got the best striker in the league, a top 3 winger in the league. Yeah. They've now got a manager who knows what to do. He's gone to Serie A, won it.
And they're improving their
weekend. That's true, but it was a season. He did actually come out and kind of say, I don't know what to do anymore. Like, he did kind of give up.
Yeah, that's Conte, and that's the Italian. He's won leagues with Victor Moses, and now he's got Perisic.
The downfall of Spurs is Spurs.
Conte player.
You know what I mean? That's
the question.
Spurs curse.
That is, they're their own problem.
I think that's the big question.
It's Spurs, isn't it?
I think the question is, can Conte break the Spurs curse? Because that is like we all know Conte. You put him in City, you give him 2 seasons at City, give him 2 seasons at Liverpool, Chelsea, probably even Arsenal and United, and he's going to get them back on track, there fighting for titles.
Harry Kane breaks the Spurs curse when he lifts a World Cup on Christmas.
Wow!
Bloody hope so.
They'll come back a winner.
To be fair, I think with Spurs, even if they had the League Cup this year, or the FA Cup, that is a major.
They take that.
That's a major thing.
I think you look at Spurs. On the Spurs curse thing, you look at Spurs. You look at Conte, and look at the players he's bringing in. Richarlison, Conte with Richarlison. That is going to be.
I can't stand him.
Nasty.
He's a 1 player in the league.
Nasty. Zuma, he's got the potential to do it. Dyer.
Yeah.
You look at this, and
they're building a squad of thugs.
There's been so many times in history thugs have won leagues.
Oh yeah,
you need that bit of bite. Imagine defending against Son, Kane, and Kulusevski for 70 minutes, and then Conte throws on a fired up Richarlison at you.
Yeah.
Like, that's what they've not had, and I still think in areas they don't have that. Like, come February when they're lining up with Skip and Winks and a double pivot. Like,
I still think what they paid Richarlison was too much.
And I probably agree with that, but I think Conte, small squad manager, aging squad manager. If we can get Kane back to where he was, keep Son how he was, that Spurs side.
I mean, this is going off.
Everyone stays fit. It's a good side.
Slightly right, but if they don't win anything this year, at what point does Harry Kane go? Nah, it's
too late now.
Or do you think he's too far in? Does he turn into a Mark Noble and stays
unless
all the way
he went
through?
to Bayern Munich and got some Bundesliga under his belt?
No, I don't think he'd do that. I think he'd do a Van Persie.
I think he wants Premier League top goal.
I think he'd do a Van Persie.
You know
when Van Persie realised.
Go to United.
You know when Van Persie realised he was at that point of his career, late 20s, and he realised he's not winning anything at Arsenal, and he thought, you know what, jump over ship to Sir Alex and
But his only
bag himself a title and leave.
His only chance
He's threw his legacy in the bin at Arsenal, but he's got a Premier League title.
Haaland's taken that spot at City for you to say at least the next 3 seasons.
United will be the one, mate. Ronaldo moving on in the next season, probably.
But United have got to get themselves up to Spurs standard first.
Yeah.
And then for Kane to leave, they're then got to kick past Spurs.
You pick Kane up and you put him in any other Premier League side, and it improves that Premier League side by significant. Even City, I'd say. But
yeah,
I don't care. But it's not even like that bad a shout. I think like most people expect them to struggle. But Leeds, I think a few people are saying like, I mean, apart from like obviously like Leeds fans have a bit like, oh yeah, I think we're going to do quite well this season. But I think Leeds not only to go down, Leeds to finish rock bottom on an abysmal number of points. I'm talking a Villa 15-16 number of points, a Huddersfield 18-19 number of points. That like.
That's the bottom of the league. Shocking season is the bold part there.
Yeah. I think there's a chance of them going down. I mean, I would have put a lot of money on them going down last season. That one period from like the start of this year, January, February time, they were just abysmal.
I just think
they picked up a bit. I don't know how they stayed up, to be honest, but
their signings haven't been. They've lost their 2 best players. Their signings haven't been smart. Like no Premier League experience. Just Americans like. And people from Europe.
Okay, so you think not Nottingham Forest, for example, you think they can finish above Leeds?
Yeah, because it's the first season for Forest, isn't it? They've got like.
I guess.
Forest have that momentum that I don't think Leeds have at the moment.
You want to know why Leeds won't go down with 0, but on the lowest points you're saying? They're gonna stay up because of Ellen Road and because of how loyal their fans are.
That's not how Ellen Road works. No, Ellen Road can turn.
No, I know they can turn, but picture Tuesday night under the lights. They're playing an out of form Arsenal under the lights at Ellen Road. That just screams Leeds getting a late winner, does it not? Like when Villa went down with that many points, the reason it was so different is because we've been through so many years of rubbish that those games under the lights, they were half capacity crowds. Yeah, no, you know what I mean? Yeah. Probably the same with Wolves when you went down with those low points in Derby. Leeds, because they're still freshly faced in the Prem, their attendances aren't going to tank yet. If they say they struggle for 3 more years in a row, then you probably start seeing a decline. But
they'll get it for people.
They've got enough to go over the line to get enough. Whether they go down, I'm not saying they'll survive. I'm not saying they'll have enough to survive. 40 points is a lot of points in the Prem these days, especially. But to go down with 15, 16 points, I don't know that's happening.
Well, we've had some good shouts there, lads. Some of them turned out not to be as outrageous as expected.
Alright, that does bring us on to our next little point of conversation. Obviously, I think Leeds are going to finish 20th. 2 more spots to be relegated as well, so who do you think is going down this season?
I think for me, I'm sticking Bournemouth rock bottom. I'm going to stick Everton above Bournemouth. I'm going to stick I'm going to stick Brentford as mine.
I think that's 2 pretty big shouts.
I'll tell you why. Bournemouth, right? They've bought players, those sort of players who will get
Bournemouth.
I think they'll get you out of the Championship. They won't keep you in the Prem.
Have any of us not got Bournemouth in our 3?
I've got Bournemouth in my 3.
Simple as, right? Brentford, Everton. Sorry, Everton on my next side, right?
This is a big one.
Everton look toxic in pre-season. The way Frank Lampard's speaking and the way they're playing looks horrendous. I think Frank speaks as a player when he addresses the media, which is awful for a club with the fans that Everton have. You look at that Everton side, you look at the Everton wage bill, the money they're hemorrhaging. Off the pitch, it's awful. On the pitch, it's worse. If you were an Everton fan, why would you spend 30 quid on a Saturday, 50 quid for the whole day, to go and watch them? You wouldn't. The whole place is going to turn. Frank has got no experience this whatsoever. He's going to be the first out the door, and then where do they go? That's my reason for Everton. And Brentford, Christian Eriksen, a hole that they can't fill. They were awful before they brought Eriksen in. They're not going to be able to replace that.
I think that's harsh.
They were once they tried.
Awful's a strong word.
Once they tried,
they took good points before.
I'll give you they had a start, middle phase, toughest part of the season. If Eriksen hadn't come in January, you think not a chance. Tony this year is going to be rubbish, and Buemo is going to be rubbish. I think that Jan out, wherever he's in the midfield, was one of their better players.
Yeah,
I think but what's the point in Jan out doing his role? Who's he going to give the ball to? Who in that Brentford side keeps you up?
Tony.
Yeah. No, he doesn't.
I rate Tony very high, not just because of his goal scoring. I think he brings a lot.
He
reminds me of Benteke when we were in that position.
Who gets the ball to Tony then? How does Tony get on?
Yeah, mate, he was scoring goals before January.
It's not even about Brentford. I think Brentford have got enough as a team. I think there are at least 3 or 4
enough?
teams that don't have enough of them.
Not a chance.
What keeps Brentford going is their, not I say the team spirit, their chemistry, the
Yeah.
way their
There's
clubs
their Premier
run,
League knowledge now.
the way their
out,
clubs
they've
run
done it.
is impeccable.
I think they had their moments last year as well.
Their Moneyball tactics, Brentford is just.
I just don't think other clubs have enough as them.
I think they started off strongly last season, and they did go down a bit. But I think if they can just find that form again, I think they've had that first season in the Prem now. I think it'll go 2 ways, as you said. I think they either will go down, or I think they'll make
But
a.
the other way
themselves.
to look at it is, as we've already mentioned with Leeds, with H. I agree with Ellen Road. I don't think Palace. I don't think Palace are going to crumble totally.
No.
So the only other side I'm left with, who you could legit. Well, there's the 2 new promoted boys that you could throw in, but I think Fulham are Premier League savvy, and I think Forest are going to be your new boys.
If we talk about the 3,
and then the only other side you could bring in this conversation is Southampton.
so we talk about the 3 there, okay? Fulham, Bournemouth, and Forest. So I think 2 of them go down.
I think Fulham and
It's
Bournemouth.
quite common that 2 go
I
down.
think Fulham
yeah.
stay up.
I think
Quite
Fulham will
common
go
that
down.
Fulham go down.
Fulham's just that team. They
Fulham won't do it again. They won't. They got it. They
Really?
They're different this time.
Yeah, they
I think
won't
they're
do it
different this
again.
time. They romped that league, mate. They took the piss out of that league. Let's be honest.
They won't do
How
it
many
again.
times you load up BBC Sport last season? She Fulham put 5
They
plus.
were-
someone.
and-
They were-
and
I
you're
know,
right,
but then how many
every
times
week
you
you
see
got Fulham.
these
Banker.
strikers, these players, Tony does so well, and then you come up, and of course he's not going to perform to the heights that he did in the season
Yeah, but
before.
I think
But I think Fulham are now Premier
How many
League
goals is
savvy
Mitrovic
to that.
going to score this
They're-
season?
I think 10.
But mate, you can't. The thing is with Mitrovic,
You know?
he gets so much. Mitrovic gets so much shit when he comes up. He scores. Last time he was in the Premier, he scored. I think it was 12 goals,
Yeah, like,
10
it's
Premier League
not a
goals.
bad return.
Not a bad return for a newly promoted side. And you can't. All the blame gets pushed onto Mitrovic.
Yeah, because he did well in the Championship.
He's proved. If you bag goals in the Championship, you've basically proved if you get the supply, you will score.
Yeah.
Because obviously it's easier to supply strikers in the Championship. If Fulham can just keep what they've always tried to do in my eyes, especially under Parker, they've played brilliant football in the Championship. Same with Jukanovic. They've come up
and they tried to
and they've tried to do the same. I don't think Marco Silva has been around the block in the Prem. He's been nearly. He's been
stick a
relegated.
backbone in there.
He's been relegated with Hull. He had a really tough job at Everton. Did well first season.
Yeah.
He's been there at Watford as well. If you want to talk about Premier League experience, you've got a manager who's been in 3 different Premier League situations.
Yeah, and done
so he's been at Watford, where he's constantly looking over his shoulder, thinking he's going to get sacked. And as I said earlier, a team that's went down, a team that's done well, and then fell off a little bit. In my opinion, Saints are down. I think they're gone. I think Saints have been hanging. I think Saints have been punching. I've gone for Bournemouth
18th.
bottom, Brentford, just Brentford in the middle, and
Then Southampton
then
18.
Southampton 18th. Yeah. I think, in my opinion, Saints, they've been punching well above their weight for a few years now. When it's not Southampton that we saw in the mid 2010s.
No, I was very close to putting Southampton.
You don't see players like Mane and like Hasenhüttl and not Hasenhüttl, sorry, that's obviously the gaffer, but you see the great players that went through Southampton. They got bought by Liverpool, Chelsea, Spurs, whoever.
And they're signing young again, aren't they? Like kid from Man City, Joe Aribo is.
They want Liam Delap as well.
Joe Aribo, unknown quantity in Premier League football, fantastic for Rangers.
The only thing I'll say about Southampton is that they haven't really been in a relegation fight
And
whilst
that could
they've
be
been
a
in the
problem.
Prem. So it's gonna just be. I think they're going to be down there. I don't think they'll go down, but it's obviously about seeing how they react.
Well, mate, look at Everton last season. They looked up.
But they stayed up eventually.
I know they stayed up eventually, Everton, and fair play because they dragged themselves out of it. A lot of that down to Richarlison started to show up towards the end of the season. But the panic state. I live with an Everton fan who'd never seen a relegation battle in his life. The panic state. You can see when you're on Twitter and you can see someone's in a live space. In a Twitter space.
Every single
Well,
time.
I'd go in these spaces sometimes because it says you've got a mutual friend. The panic stations in these Everton spaces.
But this is partly my point about
But
Everton.
they, like Wolves fans, Villa fans, we've experienced now the relegation.
They were at a point under Moyes and even under Martinez, like they could have been these sides we talked about earlier kicking on, and now they're here.
The thing is,
they're like,
yeah.
I just don't see how those fans can get behind this bunch of
It's
players.
so hard to bridge that gap as once it started.
How do you fear Goodison? You don't fear Goodison.
The thing is,
Park
don't
anymore,
Look at Goodison Park.
especially without Richarlison.
I look at Goodison Park as Villa. I really
points.
think Villa should go get 3
3
points
points,
from there.
yeah.
I don't think like I did when they had Lukaku and Morales and a solid decent team. I'd go there and you'd say 1-1 against Everton.
So the
Probably
problem is,
take it, yeah.
the problem is with Everton as a club, right? I'm not just saying this to look funny. I think everyone would agree. They're just too bitter, to be honest. The whole club as a whole, they're so easy to be back in it, and in an instance, they'd quite happily be the opposite way. And again, this kind of going off a bit. I don't know what you think about this. They always act. They've got these banners saying they deserve better, they need better. What for what? Says what right do they have to think they deserve better? Realistically, there's a genuine question.
But that's every club ever.
But they say they're too good to stay up.
That's why I think
they're too good to go down.
That's why it is every club.
But that's also why
they're very lucky last year.
That, like, the fan base isn't going to be the fan base to get behind them. Like H's point about Leeds is bang on. Like Leeds will accept this season if things go wrong. They'll accept where they are. And they'll dig their boys out. Everton won't.
That's exactly what Everton did this season.
Only because they built the new guy. They brought Frank in, did this new era bollocks that every club does. Frank will be out the door easily.
Does any of you rate Frank Lampard as a manager?
No, he can't. He can't speak to the
30 days as a manager.
He can't speak to the press as a manager. Still. The way he speaks is as if he's a player, and that is, it's so wrong. He gets it wrong. Every interview he gets wrong, and he rallies this war cry everywhere he goes about, well, the players have got to know what they're doing for the badge. Brilliant, cheers, Frank. They're still taking 200k a week home, aren't they?
What's your thoughts on Dele Alli and that piece of business?
I would love Dele Alli to work.
He's just lazy.
I think
he's such a lazy player.
I think inside him there's the footballer.
I think. How old is he?
He's young, man. He's like 20. He's mid-20s.
If you'd have looked at Dele Alli at 22 and Jack Grealish at 22, you would have been not expecting. Their careers have just gone like that, just in like complete different directions.
Dele Alli's that player now. You look at him, realistically, he's still quite young. But I just think, like, where's he go from here? Realistically, what's he doing?
Championship.
Where's he? Yeah, is he good enough to still be in the Prem? I don't know.
Yeah, mate. Again, it's hard with Dele Alli because he should have been the man to like taking them to the top in terms of. But obviously, we've got there. We've got to like World Cup semi-finals. But the fact that he's not even been on the pitch, in especially the last Euros.
It's not even considered.
Like, if you'd have said it, basically what I'm trying to get across is, if you'd have said to me during the 2018 World Cup,
yeah,
we're going to get to the final in the Euros, and Dele Alli's not going to be there.
Same as Lingard, to be honest,
and he's going to be fully fit.
At least with Lingard's shown a bit of like fight. Like we all ripped Lingard off, and now he's like a player. I think.
But this is another.
Any of us three would.
I would think this is another thing with Everton.
Forest,
is Dele Alli is one of the most Everton signings ever. I've been reading this week Everton after Adama. Why? Yeah, he's going to ask you for hundreds of thousands a week, and you'll give it him. Tarkowski, don't get me wrong, good signing.
Good business, yeah.
But Tarkowski and his agent would have also heard it's Everton. We'll go up 30k a week.
You're going to be the main man.
I think they still have a very good spine though. When you look at Pickford, Tarkowski, like Allen, I think he's a good player. But even like regardless of Allen, you then got Gordon and Calvert-Lewin.
Calvert-Lewin as well. If he gets back into form,
like someone said last week on the pod, I think Gordon will have a big season.
Yeah,
I think he looked
I think he has to.
I think he looked encouraging. But then it's how's he going to deal with that pressure because.
It's the same
last year for Gordon would have all been a blur. Yeah, he's finally cemented this. He was coming on here and there, but then he's finally cemented this thing. Basically, him and Richarlison kept him up. Now suddenly Gordon's, he's a main man.
You look at McNeil.
How do you deal with that?
You look at McNeil at Burnley, and he had his breakout season as a blur, and then things at Burnley didn't change, and Dyche said it's still gonna be 4-4-2.
It's gonna be a big season.
And where's McNeil now? Like even Burnley fans aren't banging on about McNeil. Gordon's got to be really careful that flair doesn't get sucked out of him because he has to do a job.
I feel like there's a thing as well, like you're saying, with Everton and Liverpool, because of this whole the Scousers they're together. They cut themselves off a bit from the rest, not intentionally. They're very patriotic, if you like. You can't look at Ross Barkley. I know it hasn't really worked for Ross Barkley, but he kind of said "F you" to the whole Scouser, Everton, Scouser, Liverpool kind of thing, and left. Gerrard never did it. Nearly did it. There's been players. Rooney did it.
Yeah.
Does Gordon? Because you hear about the stories from the lads who leave the Everton and Liverpool as Scousers.
I don't think Gordon flourishes in that.
The thing is that you have to think. You're talking about these players. You're talking about there. The teams that they were like the Gerrard, the Bruces there compared to the Everton now. But
what I'm saying is if Everton get a 25 million bid from Spurs for Gordon.
Whereas 25 million bid from Liverpool.
You know what, that's such a Spurs thing, I can't lie.
Is Gordon to Spurs, not just the most Spurs?
Do you take Gordon at Liverpool?
I think he's a good player and he's young, but then it's not even down to if we want him. I mean, he'd never go.
With all these players that come through Everton and Liverpool, you can never actually confirm.
Okay, I'll be honest. You say, would you take Gordon? Okay. Would Gordon get in our team? No, he wouldn't. So probably not. No.
Take him as
if you develop him as a player, to get him better.
Develop him a little bit. Shove him on 70th minute. When Salah's legs.
We need younger players.
You've got to remember, Salah's not getting any younger. I'm not saying he's going to replace Salah if you brought him in. I'm saying Gordon would be a good player for a top 6 club to throw on after 70 minutes of tired legs.
But, right, so Everton we've done.
Yeah.
Sorry to any Everton fans.
Right. I want to put.
I'm sticking Bournemouth down.
Yeah. I haven't got any definites. I can't lie.
But me and you are both.
I want to chuck in and discuss about Nottingham Forest. Are they going to go down or not? Because I don't know. Happy thinks they will, but Happy thinks the club that they are, the fans they've got.
The only thing I say on Forest,
they were not lucky to come up, but they weren't exactly.
The only thing that I say on
Forest,
and he might be fantastic, and he might keep them up, but they've let themselves down with the Lingard signing.
No, they
I don't know. It's not as much as people think.
I don't think so.
It works out to $6 million a year.
He's got experience.
I get that.
He has proved himself more recently. I don't think it'll be that bad.
How do you feel now, as Brennan Johnson, for example? You're sat there. You've taken this club up. Johnson stayed. He's given his faith to Forest, and there's other players in that Forest. Yates, Worrell, all of these, and Jay Lings hops in.
I don't think it's that bad.
You sit down with a gaffer, all right. You sit down with a gaffer at work, and you say, "What has this bloke done for this club that I haven't?"
Are you talking about money here?
I'm talking financially.
Okay.
Dressing room morale.
Right. Morale.
I know it's a good deal.
Dressing room. You can't really look into that too much.
Because we're not there. But
West Ham, you could argue he did exactly the opposite of what you were hinting at, and he's coming in like. But
I still think
financially, if you're saying Brennan Johnson's just penned a new deal. And he's seeing Jay Lings come in and he's like getting 200 grand a week, whatever he's being paid. And he's thinking, well, how come he deserves that? I think as Brennan Johnson or Yates or Worrell, you've got to have a bit of nous about you and think this bloke's been knocking around the Premier League for the last 5-6 years. He's narrowly missed out on going to the Euros. You've got to respect it. You've got to respect it.
Well, I think it can go. And
when Tom Heaton came to Villa the season we won,
it's even not.
There have been players. Tom Heaton, I'm pretty sure, went into our highest paid player pretty much instantly. Yeah. There'd have been players who just got to accept it. It's like Danny.
It's like Coutinho.
Yeah.
Coutinho coming to Villa. It's Felipe Coutinho.
You think Wendy is going to be knocking on Gerrard's door saying, "How come Liverpool player, ex-Liverpool player,
$140 million
treble winning Coutinho is on more money than me"?
Yeah, all right. Treble winning Coutinho is not saying Jesse.
Yeah, but in the grand scheme,
in the scheme of things, the gap probably
this is a club which hasn't been to the Premier League in
about 20 years.
How many years?
It's an FA Cup finalist winner.
I think for them experience,
to be honest, to be fair, my point though isn't anti-Lingard. I think they'll do fantastically well, and so will Lingard. My point is more so, Steve Cooper's side works with team cohesion. I think he's a brilliant gaffer at that. And the way Forest were modelling themselves in this window, they've gone out, they signed the kid from Germany, they signed a few lads who played well in the Championship. There was a structure there. It was really well structured. And then, for me, it just felt like they've pandered to Lingard a bit. And I personally think Lingard's seeing out a couple of years.
So a Forest, do you think they're going down or not?
No, I don't.
You think they're staying up?
I think it's a 15th, 16th, 17th.
I think they stay up without Lingard as well.
The last point of conversation I want to bring up, it's not something that's like current to world football at the moment. It's a pretty generic question. Well, I suppose it is sort of relevant. Like England are doing fairly well at the moment, but it is
off the back of that 4-0 loss to Hungary.
Would you rather your team win a major trophy or England win a World Cup?
You want to start?
So if I'm starting on this, I think this is going to set the tone of the conversation. I'd rather Villa win a Carabao Cup than England win the next 10 World Cups.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I don't know where to start with.
As much as I'd love to see England win a major trophy at some point in my life,
That's so brave.
just to see, I want to see whatever happens. There's not the connection there for me with international football as there is with club football for me. That is in my opinion.
I do get that. What I would we'll go for our answers first, and then we'll do some arguments. So my answer would be I pick Wolves to win. I'm saying Premier League or Champions League. All right, there's a major over an international major, and I say it for the same reason of I go to Wolves home days every week. Like if England were on the telly a few months ago, I didn't watch it.
Exactly.
I watched Wolves on the 23s. My connection. The only thing I would say about England is when the Euros are on, it's fantastic. You and your mates all supporting the same thing. Like the serious limbs and like the 48 hours on the booze after England winning a major. That's the bit I want though. I don't actually want the World Cup. I just want the occasion to share it with all of my mates, like what we almost had at the Euros. But to pick one, to be able to watch Wolves win a major would miles above England. I'd probably cry. Whereas with England, I'm doing it for the party. I want the bank holiday. I want to be out hanging off a lamppost with all my mates. I'm not actually that bothered that it's England that have won the World Cup.
I'd agree. I'd say Villa, Champions League, FA Cup or League, I'd take all day over an England Euros. A World Cup though, oh mate, it'd be a toss up. The only thing I say,
massive.
World Cup
is huge, man.
Huge.
Like you still remember, we could sit and talk about all the World Cup winning teams that we've been alive for, and the players that played for them.
You could list the both
the finals they were in. Like I could still sit here and we could talk for an hour about how great that Spain side were that won the World Cup and Euro back to back or whatever. That Holland final, the Robin miss when he went 1-on-1 Casillas, and that was 2010. That was 12 years ago, and we're still speaking about it. Obviously, it's different for yourself, because you support a club that's winning. So, could you talk about Liverpool winning if they won the FA Cup in 2008? Would you remember that as much as a World Cup final? 100% not.
Probably. I'm in such two minds. It's so hard because obviously I support Liverpool, who've done so well. And I've watched Liverpool in the Champions League, Premier League, the cups or whatever, and we've won them in recent years. I'm just saying we have. But then, and obviously, what I do to see Liverpool in the Premier League again, it's so recent years as well. We've been so unlucky, but this is the World Cup, isn't it? If someone say England's going to win the World Cup this year, imagine just how good it was in 2018. Got to the semis, the final last year.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's different. I know, because I know I'm a Liverpool fan. I know I'm not from Liverpool. I know obviously many Scousers who would say they'd rather Liverpool instead win a corner than England win anything. They don't care about England at all. And I do understand where you're coming from. Your love for your club is much more than England, because obviously in England it's made up of. Everyone's kind of together. You've got this player, that player, so they don't care. And I get
what I'm saying, because you're not following England. You're not following. Let's be honest. None of us are going to Andorra for a.
That's what I'm saying.
I wouldn't say.
I watch the qualifiers. It's fucking boring.
I'm sort of with Liam on this. I wouldn't say I actually have any support for England. I'm pure there. I want England to win in the major tournament for the scenes that happen after.
That's the thing. It's when it gets to the actual competition, it's the page. It's like when everyone's together.
I'm not there.
Everyone's drinking the booze.
I think you have to ask yourself. The question you've got to ask yourself, a bit like what H just said though, is throughout the year, how patriotic are you? Do you know what
I think it is?
I'm a plastic
every Saturday,
fan.
every Saturday for 9 months of the year, Saturday, Sundays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, whatever Sky dictate.
Yeah.
That team in your colour, wherever they're playing, you are behind. That's my week. If Wolves lose on the weekend,
it ruins your weekend.
Ruins my weekend.
Yeah.
Whereas with England and how magical the Euros,
I don't even watch the qualifier games recently.
Yeah, you wouldn't watch the qualifier. The Euros, the main event, the big thing.
That's what you go for.
It was magical. We lost that final. Everyone in the pub fell silent. We were all heartbroken. But 2 days after,
you got on with it.
We were over. If Wolves got.
Because everyone's in the same boat.
If Wolves get relegated and Villa qualify for Europe in the same season, I have to listen to that for another 9 months. It haunts you.
The thing is, I know what you mean, because when we lost those Euros, it was. I remember I was with you. It was so sad, and then he said the following day, I was like, I can't believe we lost, but whatever. When we lost that,
it was a good piss.
When we lost that Champions League final this year, it was on my birthday. I can't even lie. I was nearly in tears. I was so upset. I couldn't believe it. I feel like. If you're talking in limbs, what do you want? In terms of the atmosphere, England. In terms of what I want, it's Liverpool.
I'd love Liverpool to win the Premier or Champions League. England give me that Villa don't. It's different because Villa, we're more local to Villa than if you're a Big Six club, so it's more accessible.
Yeah.
We've managed to get ourselves on the ticketing list, so you can go to away games, you can go to home games, whatever. We've done away days this season where the celebrations have probably been up there in terms of some of the Euro.
United away.
In terms of some of the Euro celebrations.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Can I just say this thing? So this is about you preferring the scenes. So in the Euros last year, I had COVID from the quarter-final onwards. I was absolutely right off. I was in bed. I can say by that final, I was actively not even wanting England to win. And this was pure fear of missing out. I didn't want all these celebrations happening around me when I was bedbound, but. I want England to win something in my lifetime to experience it, and I'm going to be supporting them at a major tournament. But for some reason, those games, I don't know if it's because I didn't like Gareth Southgate. I was very.
You were very vocal.
When I watch England, I enjoy and I support England a lot more when there's Villa players playing. I don't know if you.
I agree.
When Cody's playing,
when Cody, I remember Cody scoring for England. I was at work, so I didn't watch the game, but it came through on my phone, and I was just like. Fucking hell, get in there.
In that Euros, when Grealish came on, when Mings was playing, I was supporting England a hell of a lot more when they were.
The only thing I would say though, when a major tournament is on, for those 3 weeks, those England games are the biggest thing of my life.
Yeah.
Like when it's on, it's so intense. I remember we were working. I think we used to work till 4. There was a 5 o'clock kickoff. We'd all roll into the pub 4:45. Like everyone I knew was in this pub.
It's not about the thing.
It's easy to start off when we're off season. It's very easy to be
How good was that period? That 3 weeks.
But then when you're in the square in Worcester City Centre, everybody's just celebrating.
You leave work, you go to the pub, you go back to work the next day, and your mood would be bouncing. But I remember the day before the final.
3 lines in your head.
Day before the final,
3 lines is the best.
We put all of England's songs on at work, and we just sang them all. We went to the pub, we watched it, and until Italy scored. It probably was one of the best football.
When Luke Shaw scored, I can't lie.
The point I was making just there is I did realise in that period of time that I don't support England. I support the camaraderie that comes to it.
I disagree with you there. I would put myself an English supporter.
No, if I was ill when Villa were in the FA Cup final, I'd be pumped for them to win it. But when I was ill then, I was like, I'm not really going to experience this.
I want us to beat the Scottish so bad.
Same.
I mean, when we drew to the Scots, mate, in the group stage, I remember we were at Louis and about 5 minute, 10 minute walk, and I've walked back and I was absolutely fuming. I was so
Southgate out.
I wasn't bothered. I just couldn't.
When you walk through the streets, England's just won. They threw to the final or something. Everyone's beeping the horns. You got the flags waving. But the one thing I'm thinking, right, is a question. If England, let's say, win the World Cup this year, right? It's great, you're so happy, and then you've got maybe a week of okay, whatever. Then guess what? It's already out because we're now thinking. I know it's different this year. We're thinking right back onto club football. Who'd you brag about? You win the World Cup until the next World Cup or Euros.
I do think
if Wolves win the Premier League, you will that will never be lived down.
I think the torture, especially this end of the table, the torture of following your side when they have bad times, just magnifies wanting to win that major so much. Not even win that major, like Adam's on about the Carabao. Like the day out of Wembley with your club winning something is that's your payment for all of the torture. For those Tuesday nights, like for those Saturdays that you get absolutely geared up for.
So when you lose 2-0 to Burnley,
they just deflate you.
But you've had it. I'd take a European tour over England winning.
Yeah, well, this is my final closing point.
Insane.
Exactly.
My final closing point, which decides it for me, is that if England win a World Cup in Madrid and it's hosted in Spain, I wouldn't pay money to go for a flight, even just to be in the area.
This is a great point.
If Villa were playing in the Champions League final in Madrid, even if I didn't get a ticket, I'd still pay I'd still pay the flight and just to be in a fan zone.
It's a tighter bond as well, like as brilliant as it is when you can watch England with all of your mates, like you're saying, if you could do that with all of the boys you've done your aways with, how tight knit is that? Like that's people you've seen at. I remember you go to Burnley away after New Year's Eve or something.
Yeah,
like that's ludicrous. You wouldn't. It was
a half-12 kick-off. I got on at 2 in the morning. I was just straight in the car with my brother. Driving to Burnley.
Back from the car, like the one I look at. Brighton away, back at 4 in the morning at Villa Park for a Carabao Cup 5th round game.
Yeah,
and I'm sat there. I'm on the way back thinking, what the hell am I doing with my life?
Choices.
Like what am I? I've missed an important. Yeah, we won like 5-1.
I just love.
It's a good day.
Representing. I just love being in like Manchester, watching like Villa Wet City, being in like a Villa shirt in Manchester, and having that like.
It's much more tight knit when you look around. Everyone supports your club. When you go to England, obviously. You look around and think, he's a Wolves fan, he's a Villa fan, but you're all together for the whole England reason.
You feel like you're like invaded, not invaded, but like,
and also
you feel like you're out of place.
But I like to say, I don't believe this is a bad thing, and I encourage it.
Yeah.
But for the World Cup, your plastics come out.
Oh, yeah.
You get it from the pub, and your mum or your sister or your dad who didn't like football. Did you see how well Sterling played? You didn't know who Sterling was last week.
Yeah, so true. Who's that guy up front? Oh, he's class. Harry Kane.
It's totally different. Whereas when you go and watch your team, someone will come up to you and they'll say, "Well, did you see Chukwuemeka for the 19s?"
Yeah.
It's like, Kev, what were you doing at 3 o'clock on Thursday? I booked it off. I went.
Right. Anyway,
it's an obsession.
We're coming towards the end. Yeah. One final point I just wanted to go around the room and ask about really. Pre-season, obviously we've got 2 weeks left till the season kicks off now in Premier League level. A lot of lower levels are starting already.
Championship this weekend.
Who's impressed pre-season? Who's under-impressed? What do you see?
I don't feel like I've watched enough of Villa in pre-season. I just like...
Okay, maybe not watch, but results. I look at Chelsea personally and say 4-0 loss to Arsenal when both teams are playing a strong side, and a loss to what, Charlotte or Minnesota?
Yeah, Charlotte.
So for me, Chelsea are not looking the best going in.
Well,
Arsenal on the other hand.
Arsenal look good. I said mine earlier. Everton, shocking pre-season. Be gutted. On an individual note for Wolves, Gibbs White's season.
Yeah.
Make or break. I'm hoping it's make.
I think we
I'm
can
leaning
say
towards
Bailey
make.
season.
And you boys, Bailey.
Bailey's
I think
looking
United
very
do
good
look a bit better already under Hogg, but then
I
if
would
I'm
say
being
that United.
if I'm being honest
pre-season
with you,
FC though, like
They haven't
every pre-season.
What are you like United? You're very right. The way they're
They're
trying
better.
to
I'm not saying they're good.
They're trying to play
transitional
football.
football.
Exactly.
They're trying to play football, which is a start.
If I'm being honest though, for me pre-season, I don't look at it at all because to me it's nothing. All it is minutes. I don't really think. I don't think it reflects anything.
We
for the
played
season.
Levante, 4 red cards and a 32-minute.
You know what I mean?
Like, what is the point?
I stand by the fact. All it is just getting ready for the season. I think I don't know how it's going to go. But,
Getting it out of the legs.
Right, brilliant. Another episode down. Thanks for watching or listening
Yeah.
on Spotify. We're going to try and get this going weekly now. Now we're back.
We won't cough next week.
Yeah, hopefully everyone's
Fine.
improved their health. But
Everyone at Ed Lloyd on whatever platform
yeah,
you're watching this.
shout out to Ed Lloyd behind the camera, by the way. He doesn't get enough love.
Just 'cause he's
doing all the dirty work.
He doesn't do enough editing, that's why.
Right, yeah. Thanks for watching.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. See you in a bit.
Cheers.